Did you wake up one day wondering how you ended up in the shit show of life, where the only joy you find every day is doom scrolling TikTok, silently wondering why you had to relearn how to part your hair in the middle, and laughing at cat videos? Are you tired of wearing all the hats, doing all of the things, and taking care of everyone else while you can't even sit down for an hour alone without feeling guilty? Then let me welcome you to Hustle Culture Dropout, where we're trading the chaos for clarity. I'm your host, Chasity Campbell, mom, wife, entrepreneur, and professional procrastinator. And I'm ready to bring you along as we discuss everything from burnout to self-care and entrepreneurship to wellness. If you're looking for someone who's got it all figured out, you are definitely in the wrong place. But if you want to discover how to be genuinely happy, make an impact in this world, and occasionally have mindless conversations about the latest celebrity gossip, I've got you. So get ready for some no-nonsense real talk as we take on the insanity of life and what it means to be a woman in today's world. This is Hustle Culture Dropout. All right, everyone, welcome to Hustle Culture Dropout. This is the very first episode of this podcast. I am your host, Chasity Campbell. And before we go any further, I just want to thank you for being here. I want to welcome you. I want to let you know how excited I am that you are going to be here with me on this journey. And I would like to apologize immensely for all of the mishaps that will probably happen. I literally have no idea what I'm doing, but I feel it is important for me to just work through that, push through it, and give this a go. So that is what we're doing. I have wanted to do a podcast for so long, and I just never thought I would do a podcast about something like hustle culture or self-care or learning to prioritize yourself. Those were all things that I personally struggled with, and I am very, very knowledgeable about because of the life experience that I've had. So all of these years that I have thought about doing a podcast, I have tried to think of other super cool topics that I could talk about, and what can I talk about and how can I do this? And I love sharing stories, and I love connecting with people, and I love building community. And so I knew that I could do that with a podcast. I knew that I could create a community, and I could connect with people, and I could bring people together with stories, but I could never figure out the topic. And so it wasn't until I hired a business coach this year, because I'm a small business owner. And one of the things we did was we went on a business retreat, and it was a lot of discovering what your why was. What were you doing in your business that brought you joy? And was the business that you were currently in bringing you joy? Is it what lit you up? And it was this amazing retreat where I got to connect with all of these women. We got to kind of work through these different avenues of our business and get feedback from one another. And on one of the days, we had to stand up and we had to share our story. And I have a product-based business, and my product is handmade candles. And I launched that with my husband back in April of 2022. And so we dove deeper into this. And like I said, on one of those days, we had to stand up and we had to share our story. And so I stood up. I'm literally the girl in the bathroom when you're drunk and you're bonding with the people in there, and you completely overshare and tell them your life story in the 30 seconds that it takes you to borrow toilet paper from them and wash your hands with them. But that's me on almost an everyday basis. I'm very much what you see is what you get. And I am pretty transparent about things, and I will share my story with people. And so getting up in front of this group and sharing why did I choose to make candles and to create a business around candles was pretty easy for me to do. And after I did that, I realized how important sharing that is for me. And not only for me, but to let other women know that sharing their story is just as important. Embracing their story, understanding their story, and putting it out there is a way to heal from whatever trauma that you may have experienced. It's to sort of open doors, close doors on different life experiences that you may have had. And I really, really wanted to do that. And so, what I'm going to talk about with you today and in this episode is I am going to do a little backstory on how a candle got me from one point to sitting here recording a podcast for all of you now. And then I am going to just let you know sort of where I want to take this podcast and what my vision is for this. Also, just to let you know, have literally zero credentials. I don't have a degree in therapy. I am not a life coach. I literally am just like your girlfriend having a chat with you over a glass of wine on a Wednesday night when we were too lazy to like get our makeup on and we didn't want to wear bras, and so we like didn't go to happy hour because I'm a mom and I am a wife and I've been divorced and I'm now remarried and we have a blended family, and I've been a stay-at-home mom and I've been a single mom and I've been a working mom and I've started businesses that have failed and I have a business that is successful, and I have kids that are in college and I have adult children. I have our youngest is 7 years old. And so I feel like I bring a lot of life experience to the table. And I hope that however you're listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, somehow that one of these things will resonate with you. And somehow you can start to understand the value of sharing your own story, but also just connecting with other people and building a community around that. Because I feel like, and I hate using the term authenticity because I feel like that is such a buzzword right now that everybody wants to be transparent and you want to be authentic. But I truly, truly feel that. And I feel that the only way to do that is to not shy away from what our story is and to not shy away from like the really hard and difficult questions that might get asked of you. And so that is really one of my goals here. I hope that resonates with you. I will have a lot of solo conversations. And then I also have plans to have guests on the podcast as well. I already have several that are lined up. I'm so blessed to have connected with so many incredible women in the space of entrepreneurship or small business owners, and even within the space of self-care and wellness, which is what this podcast will primarily focus on. And so I'm super, super excited to bring them to you and to bring those perspectives to you as well. And so we will just kind of dive into my story of how I got from what I like to say is going from shit show to inner glow. What I hope to do and what I hope you can hear is that I am a friend. I am somebody who sees you. I understand what you've been through because I have probably been through a lot of very similar situations. During the process of this story, I hope that you will get some clarity on what this podcast will look like in the future and what hustle culture actually means. I feel so strongly about getting this movement out there and having people understand that we are so much more than the work we do and what our productivity level is. Our worth is not tied to what we produce. And so I want to talk to you about the first time when I experienced the toxic effects of hustle culture. I've experienced it two different times in my life, and both times they were completely different experiences. I was operating in completely different roles. And the first time that this happened, we would have to rewind all the way back to my first marriage when I was a stay-at-home mom. And we've all heard the debates about how difficult it is to be a stay-at-home mom, or the differences between a mom that works out of the house. The point is that experiencing burnout and experiencing the effects of hustle culture can come in whatever role you are currently operating in or have operated in. And the first time that this happened to me, is actually what spearheaded this entire journey that I have been on, and actually it culminating into where I am right now. But being a stay-at-home mom to me was an opportunity that nobody in my family had ever had, and that I took very seriously. I was very, very fortunate, and I was very blessed to have that opportunity. And so to me, in order to be a great mom, being a great mom and being the best mom that I could be meant that I had to give up everything about myself. And I didn't consciously wake up one day and think, oh, okay, well, I'm going to throw away all my dreams and it's all about my kids now. But when I became a mom, everything was about them. Everything was about making their life as enriched and as wonderful as possible. And I mean, I went all in, people. Like, I was the Pinterest mom for a birthday party. I literally fucking handcrafted a Lego piñata. The insanity that I would do, the birthday parties that these children had. I mean, I look back on them and I am literally so far removed from that person now that I can't even imagine that I executed some of the birthday parties that I executed, because it was straight up insanity, motherhood insanity. But to me, that's what my role was. That was my job. And so I was going to fucking be the best mom that I could be. And that meant I did everything for the kids. I had no time for myself. Everything was about my kids. And looking back, that played a huge role probably in the failure of my marriage, because I also put my children before my marriage. That's what I thought I was supposed to do, to be a good mom. And it was not long before I realized that I could not sustain that, because I missed things that made me happy outside of being a mom. And I missed things that made me happy outside of being a wife and taking care of all of the things that go with taking care of a family. And it really kind of ate away at me. And I didn't realize how much until fast forward to about 10 years ago, when I found myself divorced. And when you go from being a stay-at-home mom for 14 years to being a divorced mom with shared custody, we had joint custody. And I was with my kids, for 14 years, for every single day of their life. I did all of the things. I did the carpool. I did the stuff. And I volunteered in their classroom. I went to their class parties. A PTA mom. I was a room mom. I was a freaking Girl Scout cookie mom. I do not recommend this. If there's anything that will send you to your grave quicker than anything, it is becoming the Girl Scout brownie cookie mom. There is nothing like it. There is nothing like it. And so all of a sudden, I'm now divorced, and I don't have my kids with me every day. And there are full fucking weekends that I don't have my kids. And I am lost. I do not know what to do with myself. And it was awful. And it wasn't awful just by the sheer actual physical loneliness of it, but it was awful because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was outside of being a mom and a wife. And now I had to be that. And so this took me in a direction of my life for approximately, I don't know, I would say like about 4 years of complete and utter chaos, because it was me filling my life up with anything that would distract me from feeling alone. It was I did not want to sit down and think about, one, how I was alone, two, why I had become alone, what that was going to mean, having to look back and taking some responsibility on my portion of where the marriage went wrong. Right. And then I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know what I liked. I mean, I've spent like I had spent years playing Hot Wheels and like watching Dora the Explorer. And so I didn't even know who I was. And so I would be gone from my house all the time. Like I would go to work. I had to go back into the workforce to work full time. That was a giant transition anyway. So I'm momming full time. And I am working full time, even when I didn't have my kids physically with me for part of that time. My kids were very involved in sports and dance and different activities. And so on my weekends, when I didn't have my kids, I went to their sporting events or I went to their dance competitions. And I did all of those things still. And so, and my ex-husband and I had a very good co-parenting situation. And so we helped each other out a lot on, nights to pick up, drop off, whatever we had to do. And so, but during the times when I had none of that going on, I would literally spend as much time away from my house and away from being at home alone as I possibly could. And that meant spending time with different people or that I probably wouldn't have normally spent time with. They weren't always relationships that filled me up, but they were people in my life that could distract me from being at home by myself. If I got asked to go to a happy hour, I mean, guys, I was going to the happy hour. I could have a week where I had like 2, 3, 4 happy hours in a week. It takes its toll on a body. You're not being the most healthy. And I definitely was not eating healthy. I was not taking care of myself. And so something had to give. Something had to give. I had to figure something out because if I didn't stop and like face the music and figure out who the freak I was and like rediscover who that person was and what I wanted my life to look like, my life was going to derail very quickly. And so for me, one of the things that I needed to figure out was I needed to figure out how to be alone, right? I needed to figure out how to take care of myself. I needed to reconnect with myself. I needed to rediscover who I was. And that was really scary and it was really, really hard. And so the way that I did that was during this time, I would literally shop all the time because that was basically the only thing I could do to fill up time when I wasn't, having happy hour with friends or I wasn't like being miserable spending time with people that I really didn't want to spend time with. And so I would shop. And I would buy shit that I didn't need. But one of the things that I decided to do one night was I was out shopping and I loaded up my cart with some stuff and then I went over next door and I used my little coupon from Bath and Body Works for like half off candles, and I went in there and I bought a shit ton of candles. And I went home and I got home that night and I lit my candle and I had a bottle of wine. And so I opened the bottle of wine and I cooked myself a meal. And it was probably the first time I had cooked myself a meal in I don't even know how long. Because I was not cooking meals. And so I took the time, I made myself a healthy meal. During the process, I was cooking, I was sipping on my wine, and I'm listening to jazz music, and I've got this candle burning. And it was like magical. It was like magic had happened. And I had somehow reconnected with this part of me that I had been missing, which was this person who has these like, I love just like the cozy vibes of like some jazz music and like the fall weather outside and cuddling up on the couch with a blanket and having a candle burning. And that is what transpired from there. Like having this little ritual that I looked forward to and I started to do allowed me to sort of reconnect with myself. It opened the door for me to actually enjoy spending time at home alone. And so now, instead of running out and shopping as soon as I would get off of work and spending a bunch of money that I didn't need to spend, or going to another happy hour with people or grabbing fast food and not cooking at home, just this little step of burning a candle and listening to jazz music and cooking dinner at home gave me something to look forward to. And it was so nice to sit down. I would sit down and I would eat my meal. I would watch a show. I started doing this on the weekends and I would spend hours reading a book. I started reading again. I've always been an avid reader my entire life. And during this time of the divorce and the transition, I had let that go. And so just starting to read again, spending time at home and actually caring about my home again, caring about, I love creating like cozy spaces. I love decorating my house. And I had given all of that up. I had stopped doing so much of that. And it was just nice to have that and to feel connected again to myself. And all of that happened because of a candle. And I know that there is probably so much more to that there. And if we picked it apart in therapy, I'm sure that my therapist would have all sorts of, incredible insight. But for me, it was just creating that little ritual. That's what it was about, the feeling. It was about being able to relax. It was about taking time for myself. And what I realized was that I had not taken care of myself for years. I had not taken the time to truly connect with anything that brought me joy outside of being a mom. Like, yes, I loved being a mom. I love being a mom, even on the worst days. Well, probably not on the worst days, but I mean, guys, it's a roller coaster. Motherhood is a roller coaster. I love that role, but I am more than that. I'm more than an entrepreneur. I'm more than a wife. All of these things and all of these roles that we find ourselves in are fantastic roles and can be fantastic roles, but it's not all of us. And so if you're not connecting with yourself on some level, if you don't have something that's bringing you joy on some level outside of your family, outside of your friends, outside of your job or your career, you need to figure out what that is. You need to figure out what that is. And that is what I want this podcast to be. I want it to be those little bitty steps towards rediscovering who you are. Becoming an entrepreneur for me, when I founded and launched my business in 2022, it was starting something for me that I was super passionate about. What I love about that is I love the feeling it brings me. I love fucking doing nothing. I love laying on my couch and relaxing and not feeling bad about it. And it's taken me a really long time to get there. And there are so many of us in the world today that have not experienced that and do not have that. And the rate of burnout in America is crazy. We are a society that is obsessed with and glamorizes this idea of being busy. And we cannot, whether we are moms at home running our kids and overscheduling our kids, or we are getting caught up in the grind of building our careers and going faster and wanting more and moving forward as fast as we possibly can. And even when I started, when I founded Nora Blanc and I started the business, I started going down that path again. It was the second time that I was going to experience this same burnout. That first time being like burning out just as a mom. And the second time, as recent as 10, 11 months ago, was me again trying to juggle all of the things. I'm trying to take care of 5 kids and get kids through college and support my husband and be a great friend and go to all of the parties I'm invited to and go to all of the happy hours I'm invited to and do all the volunteer opportunities that I have been presented. And I was trying to build my business, and I could just feel myself in that spiral. I could feel myself spiraling out of control. And I was like, something had to happen. Something had to stop. And what had to stop was me buying into this idea that my worth is tied to my productivity. I had to drop out of the hustle. I had to step back. I had to drop out of hustle culture. I had to just say, I'm not doing this anymore. What I'm doing is taking care of myself. And what I am prioritizing is my mental health, my wellness, my entire being. This is going to be a priority. This is going to be just as much of a priority as it is for me to support my daughter in her final years of college, or to take care of my sons, or to whatever I'm doing. I needed to prioritize my self-care once again. And that is what being a hustle culture dropout is about. That is what I hope to bring to you. That is what I hope to teach you. That's what I hope we can learn together. And doing that along whatever path we might be able to do that. I want to be able to bring you something every week that helps you reconnect with yourself and helps you learn how to take those little steps towards prioritizing yourself, prioritizing your self-care, and not feeling bad about it, not feeling guilty when you go on that girls' trip, not feeling bad when you tell your spouse or your partner, you know what, I want to sleep in this weekend. You need to take the kids. I want to be able to share that. I want to be able to experience that. I want to build a community around that. And I hope that you will come along the journey with me. I hope we can do this together. I am so excited to see where we go from here. And I thank you so, so much for being a part of this. I want to thank you for being open to what you might be able to learn. And I just ask you to reach out and connect with me. I will also, let you guys know you can follow me on social media at Chasity Campbell Co. So it's Chasity Campbell, my name, and then Co. C. And you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can join the email list by going to the website, chastitycampbell.com. And more than anything, if you would like to stick around and go on this journey with me, I am asking you to please subscribe to this podcast. That helps push me up so other people can discover the podcast. And I would appreciate it so much. And share it with your friends. And I cannot wait to see where we go from here. Thank you so much for being here.